A splash of history, a pinch of the paranormal, and a local urban legend about the infamous rocking cradle. Hi, I'm Erin Fitts with Beacon Credit Union. On today's episode of Social365 This and That, we explore the chilling tale that takes place right here in the Hill City. Check it out. Want to stay in the loop of what's going on in your community? Subscribe now. I'm joined with Christian Crouch, the interim curator with the Lynchburg Museum System. Now, Christian, tell me about the haunted rocking cradle.
The first story we have takes place at 1104 Jackson Street. That's actually where the supposed haunting happened. The person involved, his name was William A. Smith. He was actually a local reverend who had recently moved to Lynchburg, and he needed a cradle because him and his wife, Laura Booking Smith, had recently had a daughter. So he called on his cousin here in Lynchburg, whose name was John Early. He was a local bishop as well. And so he called on him and said, "Hey, can I borrow your cradle? We have a daughter that we need to kind of put in there for a little while." And so he let him borrow the cradle. And I guess up to this point, there was really no notion of any haunting because obviously he passed it off, so there's probably not any kind of haunting before this point. So in spring of 1839, the story, like I said, is very short. He and his wife, he was in the dining room of their home. The wife was in the other room with the daughter, and at some point, I'm going to make sure I get this quote right. She said, "Dr. Smith, come here and look at this cradle, how it rocks." And so he got up from his breakfast and went over to the other room and saw that the cradle was now rocking of its own accord, just in the room, kind of by itself with them in it. So he probably took it, moved it around a couple of different places. Based on varying reports from later on, he wasn't actually that superstitious, so he probably actually did try to figure out what was going on. But when he exhausted all of those steps, he moved the cradle to the middle of the room, stood up, pointed at it, and said, "Now, Jeffrey, rock." He actually, at that time, it was not that weird for a minister to call the devil Jeffrey. That was actually a Methodist thing, I believe. He commanded it to rock, and then it rocked, and then that's actually where the story ends. It just ends there. So again, it's kind of a short little story. It gained definitely citywide acclaim. Apparently it happened for a few days, and then it went away, and then it never happened again, and then the cradle just kind of became lost throughout the different moves and throughout history, and then came to us about a couple of years ago or so.
And you have it down in the basement, don't you?
Yes, we do. It is actually on what I like to call semi-permanent display, which means that we have no current plans to remove it, but it could be removed, pretty much at any point if something happens that, we need to kind of replace it. So there's no super rush to kind of come see it, but it won't be here forever.
For more information about the Lynchburg Museum System and the Early Family Rocking Cradle, visit lynchburgmuseum.org. Thank you for watching this episode of Social 365. For more Social 365, visit Beacon's social media pages.